we go.
All right.
You don't have Facebook open, do you?
On my, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Okay, 1 second. Here we go. Spinning. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay. We are live. I'm excited. So good evening, everybody. I am excited to be here this evening. I have a very special guest with me. She is my client and will be joining me in my mission to help individuals get healthy. So before I talk to Diane, I just want to share a little bit about me for some of you that may just be joining me for the first time and not familiar with who I am and what I do. So many of you do know who I am and what I do, but I will just kind of briefly share my story with you. So my name is Maria Oshaus, and I am a healthy lifestyle coach. And about 11 years ago, I was in a really bad place. I was high risk of heart disease, pre-diabetic, and pretty much barely surviving. So fast forward to today, I have lost 130 pounds and have kept it off for 10 years. And I'm very passionate, and my purpose is helping others achieve optimal health and well-being in their lives so that they can discover the best versions of themselves. So I have been very honored to have the opportunity to work with Diane. And I'm excited to really celebrate her today because Diane has reached her goal. And I want to congratulate her on that for sure. But Diane's really going to share a story this evening that's something that's very near and dear to my heart, and one of the reasons why I made a decision 11 years ago to start my journey, because I was pre-diabetic and at a high risk of heart disease. And I was able to, fortunate enough to prevent it. But Diane's going to share her story tonight of what really awakened her to really, really, truly take charge of her health. You know, it's interesting because, you know, being a former Go Red for Women spokesmodel for the Pittsburgh chapter here in Pittsburgh and very involved in that organization back in 2012, you know, heart disease in women is common. There's myths that it's a men's disease, and it's actually not. It's truly a women's disease because the statistics show us, and this is through the American Heart Association, that 1 in 3 women will experience death from heart disease. So it's really, you know, I really wanted to have Diane on here today as we close out, you know, Heart Awareness Month, to really hopefully resonate with some of you that, you know, really are thinking about, you know, when is the right time to take charge of your health? Well, you know, there's never a right time. There's never a perfect time. But I hope that Diane's story will resonate with you this evening. And, you know, and I hope that you really stop and think about, you know, where you truly are with your health. So without further ado, I'm so excited and honored. Diane and I met each other, Diane, about 5 years ago, maybe?
4 or 5, yes.
Yeah, about 4 or 5. And I was very blessed to meet her, and we lost touch for a little while, and then we just kind of reconnected thanks to Facebook. And I really want her to share her story today. So Diane, in just a couple of minutes, or you know, please, I want you to share a little bit about you, and I want you to share a little bit about your journey.
Okay. All right. Well, first, thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be here. I've always been a little on the, I don't want to say chunky side, 10 to 15 pounds heavier than what my height weight should be. I can remember that my paternal grandfather used to call me solid. You know, I was always solid. So, you know, that kind of sticks in your brain over the years. But so as I got older, I was still that 10 to 15 pounds overweight. Back in 2000, I don't remember what, actually, I don't remember what year it was, but when I was turned 43, or earlier than that, I found out that I had high cholesterol. And it's funny because my husband and I did it for life insurance purposes, and his cholesterol was good and he ate like crap. And I ate fairly healthy and I had the high cholesterol. So I've known that for a long time. And I did go on statins for a little bit, but I jumped off of them. I am not a pill taker. So fast forward, 2010, I decided at the age of 50 to go back to doing my bachelor's degree online. And of course, you know, online classes, you're not moving around, you're more sedentary. It took me 6 years to complete it. But during that 6 years, over time, my weight went up and up and up. So at my heaviest in about 2004, end of 14, beginning of 15, I weighed 205 pounds. So finally in like September of 2016, I decided to, okay, it's time. I'm tired of feeling this way, you know, looking this way. I didn't like how I looked in pictures. I felt bloated. I didn't have energy and all of that, and trying to take care of my kids at the same time. So I did lose 30 pounds. I got down to about 170 and I kind of stayed there for a while. Late 2018, I started having some symptoms and I ended up being diagnosed in early 2019 with rheumatoid arthritis. And 2019 was not a good health year for me. I had other issues that I won't go into, but that was the spring of 2019, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And in 2019, September 26th, I actually had a heart attack. 59. I overexerted myself at work is what I was doing. I was, you know, doing things and I overexerted myself. I hadn't felt good that week, which is interesting because, you know, when you think of a heart attack, you think of the classic symptoms, Maria. The pain in the jaw, going down the arm, the tightening of the chest, hard to breathe, those kinds of things. I didn't really have that. I started off at the beginning of the week thinking I had some kind of intestinal bug because I had really bad gas and really bad indigestion. So each day, 4 days that went on, and finally on the 26th, that's when I had the heart attack. So I went to the emergency room. They did, of course, did an EKG. Well, it wasn't showing up that I had a heart attack. How they realized it was they did blood levels. So as every 3 hours, they would do another blood test. So it rose. It kept rising and rising. So instead of staying at the one facility I was at 10:30 at night, I was transported in an ambulance to the regional medical center where they have a heart and vascular center. And the next day I had a cardiac catheterization done and I had 2 stents placed in. So I did go, I did get discharged that day after. And interestingly enough, the doctor didn't give me any nitro to take with me. He didn't prescribe that for me. So the following day I had the symptoms again, you know, so I called the rescue squad, went there, and the doctor was like, well, didn't you take your nitro? I'm like, no, I didn't have any. So anyway, fast forward 6 months. It took me a good 6 months to feel like myself again. And that was last spring, last March. So Maria and I did reconnect. And I knew that I needed to do something to take my health back, right? Uh, I was hanging out at 175 in and around in there, but I'd had a couple of deaths in the family, and then COVID hit, and I was just not in the mental state of thinking about, I knew I needed to take care of myself, but to lose the weight, I just wasn't there yet. So finally, last September, I reached back out to Marie and said, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. That I got to do this now. And interestingly enough, prior to me calling her up and saying that, I had seen my cardiologist for my year checkup, and I got off of the meds that he put on, except I have to take a baby aspirin for the rest of my life, which I can live with that, right? So I still see my cardiologist, and I have actually lost 35 pounds in weight since September, and I saw him early February, and we did a telemed, and he got on, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you look great." And he's like, "What did you do?" And I said, "Well, I lost some weight." So he was very, very happy with that. Of course, I still have to go see him, and I am still on a statin until I can get a blood check done, and then hopefully with the weight loss and the more activity, exercising, and all of that, I can get off the statins, and hopefully my lipid panel will look good.
So thank you for sharing that. So other than, what was different this time with your weight loss journey?
Um, this time, last year, during COVID, I have a friend that does motivational speaking, and she had a webinar, and one of the gentlemen talking on that webinar says, okay, think about where you're going to be at in 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I had just turned 60 last March, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be 70 years old in 10 years. And I've worked with the elderly before, and I know if you take better care of yourself, or if you don't, you have a better aging process, or you don't have a better aging, or you have a terrible aging process. And I want to go through the rest of my life. I really think God kind of smacked me on the head a little bit with the heart attack and the rheumatoid arthritis, because it could have been much, much worse. You know, I'm part of a group, and they talk about having widow makers and all of that. And that's, that's for another discussion in itself. But it can be kind of scary when you think about, am I going to have another one? So it was the realization, and it was time, a year after the heart attack, it was just time. I knew I needed to make some major changes.
So earlier you said at one time you were over 200 pounds, and I know you've tried, like me, we've tried everything, what do you attest to your sustainability and your success now, in terms of charge of your health? What's different?
Right. Again, having the higher risk, I've had the heart attack, I could have another one, you just never know, right? So I have some other health issues that I'm at risk for certain things, but Maria, the thing of it is they can all be controlled with proper diet, nutrition, and exercise, and a good healthy lifestyle. And I finally, everything just finally clicked, I guess. The accountability and the coaching is what I needed. Trying some things on my own, I knew that wasn't going to work for me, because I've tried before, like you said.
So there's the nutritional component, right? Because oftentimes when we take a journey to lose weight, we always focus on the food and really nothing else. So I want to kind of help understand, what was truly different in terms of, you achieving it, your goals this time.
What has changed since I've achieved my goal, or what?
No, what has significantly helped you through this particular journey in terms of the tools that you've used? And
Yeah,
what
yeah.
has,
Oh, I
what's,
got,
what's,
yeah, the
what's different?
mindset is major. And I've been able to work through my why. And I understand what my why is a little more clear now than maybe, in the past. Yeah, I want to live my future life into my golden years, as they call them, as healthy as I can, because I want to go and do activities that I didn't want to do before. So it's just the realization of that I didn't want to continue living my life like this. And I didn't want to feel the way I felt anymore. So yeah, like you said earlier, you don't, when is the right time? But I just knew that this time it had to be the right time, and I had to go through. So a lot of um, self-reflecting has gone into it. So I think that in itself, and me turning 60 last year, and I think a lot of that, just tying everything together, the self-reflection,
So
where
what helped you in terms of self-reflection?
um just figuring out how I would like to live the rest of my life. Um, and again, having all of these high risk things that I have, I didn't want to have be slowed down by those. So again,
Do you think some of the tools that you used this time in terms of habit and behavioral change, do you
yes,
want to share a little bit about that or talk a little bit about
yes.
that?
Well, and like I said, I dug a little deeper into my why I wanted to be, why I needed to be, and how I wanted to progress forward. And I've learned now that food is fuel. It's not something that you shouldn't run your life by it. You shouldn't be controlled by food. It really is should be the other way around. So by
What tools helped you shift that mindset?
a life book that I have that I do journaling. I do the reading of that, reading through that, and then
What was so significant for you going through that educational tool, in terms of, going through your journey?
um, I really needed that as support. Kind of every week there was something different that I was focusing on, and that helped me get through each week. So yeah, really going through the process of the journaling part of it, and that I think that was a major thing for me, because you need that extra support. Also, community has helped.
Mhm.
Having a community of people that want to get themselves healthy as well, having a coach like you has really helped along the way too. Some I'm just not the type. I wasn't a kind of person that could do it on my own. I need that extra support
Mhm.
to
So what was, so
do
when you,
it the last time, not to be doing this yo-yo dieting anymore. It has to be a major life change for me.
so what was, so, you mentioned the coaching and you mentioned, the educational component. What really resonated with you in terms of, us working through that process of, you know, understanding where you are, what your current reality is, what is it that you ultimately want, and really truly understanding, the emotional channeling, especially when it comes to food, because if we don't often address what's eating at us, we're
Right.
going to stay in that continuous loop. So, you know, continuing to stay in that diet yo-yo continuum, is because we don't address what's eating at us.
Right.
And,
Right.
going through that self-realization process that you mentioned earlier,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Um,
the tool.
right. Right. Well, in the past, one of my stress relievers would have been to have a glass or two of wine in the evening. Tough day at work. I come home and do that. And even as I was being a single parent, trying to make it through some of those days, I'd have a glass or two of wine. So I've learned that I don't need that. I can make choices, and I can use other stress management techniques to help me get through it, to stop and think about, well, if I eat this, is it going to get me to my goal? And most of
Mhm.
the time, no, it's not going to get me to my goal. Well, all the time, unless it's,
Mhm.
the, because we don't want to eat we always want to eat the unhealthy stuff, right? To get that pleasure, to get that
Yeah,
pleasure
yeah,
and that
because
stress
it's
relief.
yeah. Well, and that's where we call instant gratification,
Right, right.
versus, we really need to learn how to delay the gratification and really stop and pause and understand why we're feeling the way we're feeling. And I think that's where, you know, what we do differentiates, because we work through that educational component of really working on, what I call cognitive thinking. And really, if we don't really change the way we think with food, then, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So going through that educational component and really having that self-realization process sounds to me like that was a huge awakening for you.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
so, we talked about how much weight you lost. I mean, how do you feel when you see the new Diane,
Ooh.
and uh, you look
She
fantastic.
has a lot more energy than she used to.
Good.
A lot more energy. I want to go and do things. It's the health, helping to stave off any health issues that I might have. I mean, that's a positive right there. And coming off my statins and that'll be a big help. I've lowered my blood pressure. I've done those. Hopefully the cholesterol will be low too. But the self confidence has gone up. I like looking at myself in the mirror again.
Mhm, mhm. That's a great
Um,
feeling. What about shopping? Tell us about that little
oh,
shopping.
well, guess what? Diane has to buy some new clothes because a lot of my clothes don't fit. So I am enjoying that. And I am getting some clothes that, maybe a 60, almost 61-year-old woman shouldn't wear. But, these days you wear whatever you want, right?
Hey,
But yeah, clothes
yeah.
shopping is so much different. I love being able to walk in and say, okay, this is the size I am. So let me go straight to that section, right? You know, and then you go to that section and it's too big. So it's
Mm.
like, woohoo. So you go to the next section. So that in itself, it just makes you feel more comfortable, more confident in yourself. Um, and I don't feel so bloated. And, you get in your car and you strap your seatbelt on and you got this roll hang, you just don't feel comfortable. And I don't really have to worry. I mean, I'm still working on it. But it's just a totally just new feeling. That,
Well, when you say you're
yeah,
still working on it, I'm still working on it. I
yeah,
mean, this is
yeah,
the lifelong journey.
yeah.
This is not a destination, and every step along the way gets better and better, because as we mature, where you are in your life and where I am in my life, I mean, I'm going to be a grandma or glamma, as I like to say it, and I want to have that energy, I want to be here, and, when looking at your pictures, what are, what would you say to the old Diane?
Well, of course you can't go back, but I would say
Right.
it would have been nice if you'd have done it sooner,
Hmm.
much than waiting for, but again, every time, everything has its time and a season, right? Um, I would say thank you.
Hmm. Hmm. You've come so far, and you've really embraced, the journey,
Yeah.
and on a very deep level, um, and you're shining and you're glowing, and that makes me so happy. And I want to have one more question for you.
Okay.
what are three, well, actually two more questions. What are three key things that you've learned through this journey? And what would you say to those individuals who, you know, what are your top three things that you would say to people, if they're kind of fear
Yeah,
of the unknown?
the three things I've learned, again, the one, like I've already mentioned, is food is fuel. It's not a crutch to support your emotions. And two is I've learned how to work through those emotions, and to say no and be able to take a minute, take a drink of water, sit back and say, or take a walk. I've learned other options, alternatives to that. And I don't know if I can think of a third one. And then to the other one, what would I say to somebody else? My eye is watering again. Don't wait. Don't wait. Take your health back.
Mhm. So important, isn't it? You know?
And it's some people say, but it's expensive to eat healthy. Well, you know what? So is being in the emergency room, and and having a cardiac cath and having a heart attack. I still had to pay doctor bills even though I had insurance. So it's going to cost you one way or another. So you have to make the decision, and make the decision now to make the change in yourself. Start thinking about it. I know we all go through a process.
Sure.
There's certain steps that to get us mentally ready for that, or to say, okay, today's the day.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be ready, right? I was ready. I hit my rock bottom, right? I hit my rock bottom the day that I almost didn't fit in the roller coaster. That was my day. And I was ready. Just like, you have to be ready for sure, So, well, we're gonna wrap it up here.
Oh,
And
it's time already?
yeah, it's time already. But Diane, I truly want to thank you for your time this evening. And I am so excited that you have embraced this journey so much that you've decided to, because I can't do this on my own. I need help, right?
Right.
Because our health has changed our lives in ways that we've never thought possible, and we want to be able to pay it forward, and help others. So I'm excited that you're joining alongside me as a health coach, and I know you're very passionate about it. And I'm excited for us to work together.
I am
And
too.
if 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 anyone out there is thinking or wondering, what does it truly take to really change and embrace a new lifestyle, please feel free to reach out to either Diane or myself. And we'd love to just have a conversation with you and hear about what's on your heart and in your head about your health. So I will leave you with that. And I hope you all have a blessed weekend. And Diane, thank you again for sharing your story and being vulnerable. And I appreciate you very much. Okay.
All right. I appreciate you too. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.